start with saying spell your name.
Okay. Diana Lennon, Diana Lennon.
Gotcha. So a lot of references, I'm sure, to your name.
Lots of references to the Lennon sisters and John Lennon.
Oh.
I, however, am related to Johnny Cash.
Oh, how
I am a
fun.
Cash, Diana Cash Lennon. So like seventh cousins
Of
or
course,
something, you know.
counts.
But hey, we're related.
So you have a
Counts.
famous name for real.
So we have music in the family. We like to sing and play guitar.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in, it's kind of a loaded question, grew up in Rockville, Maryland, let's say.
Okay.
My dad worked for the government, so we lived I was born in Ohio. We moved several places in Ohio, then we moved to Maryland, Bethesda, and then we moved to Rockville, and then we moved to Fort Collins for my 9th grade school year, Colorado. Then we moved back to Rockville. Then when I graduated high school, I moved back to Fort Collins and then met Rocky, who is employed by PHI, which is how I got here. So, and we've been here 34 years.
Oh, okay.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Stayed down south.
You stayed down south. Yeah, I went to I'm a graduate of USL at the time. This is a good place to raise kids, I think. We have 2 daughters, 20 and 16. So it's a good place to raise kids.
So what was it like to grow up in all those different places?
Well, I'm very adaptive to where I go. It was an adventure for me. I'd meet new people. I remember in one town I was probably in 3rd grade, going and knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, do you have someone my age I can play with?" Because I was also very social. I really learned a lot about, my dad would take us down to DC every weekend, so learned a lot about history, learned a lot about culture. There's all kind of cultural things that go on there, and of course, totally different cultural things that go on in Colorado. So we traveled all around. He was a big believer in travel, so we have been fortunate to travel probably 45 of the 50 United States, Europe, and Russia. So I'm now trying to get my family and kids to go do that, because I really feel like they're both very different, but they're both really unique in their own ways. I really like living both places, all 3 places, Maryland, Colorado, and here. But it's comparing apples and oranges, I remember when we moved here, we met people who had never left Lafayette. We met people who'd never flown. We met people who had never gone past I-10. And so we just would share what we, what we learned about culture. But then we started going to Mamu, and we would go to Alec, or we would go to Homa. And so we started saying, wow, there's lots of culture here. It's just different than what we had seen. So it was neat. It was an adventure to me. But I know a lot of people who said, "Oh, I would never do that. I couldn't do that." But cool. Yeah, adventurous.
Adventurous. I like it, definitely. So when you were growing up, did you have any mentors in your life, wherever you lived?
I'm sure I did have mentors. I remember Mrs. Luck, who was a high school math teacher. I was horrible at math. And even though I got C's in her class, she stuck with, she was this short, little, heavy African-American woman, but smile and loved you. And it's like, well, you got to see on the test again. Got to do some more work. She would encourage you, but she was just a strong teacher. She had patience. She was very loving. And that's probably most of my mentors have been loving people. When I moved here, there was a lady named Betty Jo, who I met at Asbury Church, and I would go to the early morning service, which is what they call with the blue hairs, 8:30 in the morning, all the very elderly, really elderly people, and I learned a lot from them. Meeting Betty Jo is probably 20 years older than me, so she kind of took me under her wing, her and her husband, as their adopted daughter. People thought, it was funny, people thought we were related. So she was definitely a mentor, especially in the spiritual aspect of my life. My parents were probably mentors for me, just setting a good example, work ethic, trying new things, going different places, seeing what others had to offer, listening to people, being friendly, smiling at people, just trying to be welcoming, I guess, you know. Even though my dad was much less social than my mom, they both were able to deal with people. And so probably got that from them. Colorado, I probably, you know, had some teachers, but we were there for just a year. So didn't really meet anybody. And so I'm sure I've had others. My memory, you know, isn't as good as I'd like it to be, but I've definitely had people influence me. Definitely. And now I have a kind of a core group of girls. One of my friends, Roxanne, her family has essentially adopted us. We've been going to Avery Island for Christmas since we moved here. And so, you know, they're a bunch of Cajun people from Delcom and ERAP and just have welcomed us. And, you know, I have someone who's the director at alumni at UL is my friend, and her family's welcome. And same with Vicki and Ben from church. And so I have kind of this core group that we do things regularly with. And we really bounce off a lot of stuff with each other and get advice or support or, you know, whatever we happen to be going through. So,
sounds good.
Yeah.
Tell me how you first got involved with AOC.
AOC, oh, and I love AOC. I was first involved with AOC through Gumbo U. When I was at USL, I ran the Gumbo U program from 90 to 93, and we would do a little promotional piece. I can't even remember what it was called. Y'all were at the other location. And I would either interview someone or just talk about Gumbo U. Hey, we have these great courses coming up, or we'd interview a teacher. And that's really how I started. And then, you know, once I got there, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all these things to offer. And I'd tell people about it. Y'all need to go do that. But they weren't as adventurous as me. Or, oh, I can't get on the camera. Or, you know, it's easy for you. And I'm like, look, I had to learn. It was scary in that big, huge studio with these bright lights shining on you. But always the volunteers, the employees, everybody, whatever you needed help with, they were there to guide you. The classes were invaluable. I even made a video. I made a promotional video using AOC's camera, and I edited. I took all the film myself. I edited it myself. Edited it.
I know it's hard to say.
I mean, I put the whole thing together, and I was really proud of it. Because I couldn't believe that I could do that. But as my husband says, if you have the right tool, you can do anything. And he's right. So then I kind of, once I graduated school, I drifted kind of away from AOC. And then Ed Bowie, I used to work at Right Angle, his wife's business. And so I met Ed. And then Ed ended up here. And we'd see each other. And I'm like, what's going on at AOC? And he's all kind of stuff, you need to come down. So we did, and we did a little series on wellness talks with I work with Lady of Lourdes Hospital right now, and we did a series of wellness talks with some of the docs, just pointing out wellness things that people need to do. And then we got really busy, and I haven't done any more of those. But I took the tour recently about becoming a member, and I am a member, and I'm getting close to renewal, but everybody needs to do that because, I mean, the podcasts, I think the animation studio, I mean, and I'm not interested in everything. The little Mac kit to go. Matter of fact, y'all were recording, I called the school board and I said, I cannot make that meeting Monday. I have to know what's going on with the school board and with the state of the parish. And they said, AOC's recording it, watch Thursday night. And so you're invaluable for those types of things. There's lots of stuff that I can't make it to, and I can usually find it on AOC. And it surprised me the number of people who watched. You know, I'd have the people at church, the sweet old ladies, you know, oh, I saw you on TV today. And, you know, I mean, just watching AOC, just, you know, flipping through the channels. And even though there's such a wide variety of networks to choose from now, people really like AOC, I think, for its community feel. I know what's going on. I can open up and see the calendar of events. I can go do something if I want. I can have help doing it. I can support them. So I think it's, I'm glad it's grown and survived and adapted to what's happening in the world of media and video production and audio production.
everything. Yeah. So tell me about your dream project to produce at AOC.
Oh my goodness, my dream project. Golly, unfortunately I have too many. There's lots of things I want to do. I've never done, I kind of like to try new things, so I haven't done a podcast. And I write on the side. I like to write, and I have a book that's we're working on publishing right now, and I've got an illustrator. So just talking about, I thought about this morning. Oh, I could go on and talk about, the subject of the book, which is airplanes. And my husband is a pilot and an aircraft mechanic, so he gave me a great deal of information and helped me write the book. And I thought, well, we could just talk about. There's all kind of things to talk about airplanes. So probably trying to become more of an expert or sharing the information, things that I know with others. Yeah, I'm kind of a helpful person. I like to help people. It makes me feel good. And so I thought just taking information and getting it out there would be probably my dream project. I remember when they had a show on Daryl, I think was his name. I think it was a very controversial show. And, I said, well, I don't agree with him, but I agree with his right to be on there and to be speaking. And, people like, what? I said, well, think about it. It's free speech, and you don't have to agree, but don't you want don't you want to have a medium to get out there and be able to use to share your point of view? And they usually, kind of say, well, yeah. And so it's just that little tidbit of information saying that, yeah, I don't agree with him, but I agree with his right to be on television and speaking his point. So
that's why we're here.
That's why you're here. That's right. So, my dream project is just kind of going to be maybe sharing experiences with others in the community to get them to come down here and do stuff. Don't be afraid. Just you can do it.
Yeah.
If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's not real difficult, and the training. I feel like the training and guidance that you give is invaluable.
Well, I don't do it, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you on behalf of
Well,
our
you do
staff.
a good job too. I know it's a big team down here.
What are you looking forward to in 2017?
In 2017, well, healthcare is a huge thing in our country right now, and I work in wellness and healthcare, and I think I really am looking forward to, again, sharing the knowledge, saying, okay, here's what we have to do, people. You got to move, you got to eat right, you got to quit smoking. Those three things, if you do all three of them right now, and I'm guilty. I exercise and try to eat right, but I fall off the wagon and eat lots of sugar sometimes. But if we can do those things, it's going to make a difference in your health. I look at somebody who's, say, 85 years old, who's driving around the U.S. in with one of those little travel trailers, and thinking, oh, that would be something nice to do. But if you can't leave the bed, or you have to stay on so much medication, because what we do now makes a huge difference later. And like the girl from PHI, Julie, says, is, when I'm retired, I want to be able to do what I can do now. Which, if you're not going overboard, you can do that. You just got to take care of yourself. It makes a difference now. We see it at Reds. We go really early morning. I have a workout partner, and we see, I'm telling you, people 85, 90 years old, and they're still moving, and they're in shape, and they've got the attitude, but because they've taken care of their body, it's a big deal. So that, and of course the book, I'm trying to find ways to do what I do and still get writing in, because that's my love, and my dad did that, and my brother does that, so we all kind of like to write.
Okay.
So that's what I'm kind of hoping for, to maybe do a little bit more writing and sharing that with other people.
Is it fiction or nonfiction?
Well, again, like my interests, I have this particular book is just about aircraft.
Okay.
I have another one about an experience I had when I was young with a sickness, if you will. I have another one about status. I grew up in D.C., as you know, very status conscious area, and so I just kind of wrote down observations about that. And then I have a series that I actually had written the book called the God Series, and it was not accepted for publication. So I think I'm going to turn it into a devotional and then have all of the series of books. You know, do a different one each time, and so that's kind of what I'm excited about and hoping to get accomplished this year.
Very cool. What are you reading right now?
Right now, there's a book that my friend just recommended me called Book of Mysteries, and what it is, it's it's a scriptural book where it kind of looks at a word and goes way back in the old Arabic, I guess it is, and kind of gives you a description. And when you read this, here's what this is like, the meaning behind the word. So, and you know, love words. So that's my most recent one I just started. But I like, you know, Girl on the Train. When I go on a road trip, I try to listen to an audiobook, and that was the most recent one I listened to. But I don't think I'm gonna go see the movie. I think the books are too good. So that's what I'm reading right now.
Yeah, very cool. Who would you include on your playlist? Who's on your playlist that you could listen to for the rest of your life? Which artists?
Okay, well, ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, Elton John. Here again, I guess I'm just kind of a generalist because I like everything from classical music to Christian music to dance music. Like I listen to 70s music, 70s on 7 on Sirius, or I listen to Venus. I like today's hits, but those oldies, kind of 1970s, I mean, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, you know, some real good rock music too, Heart, Fleetwood Mac. That's kind of my kind of music. But I like dance music too because I like to dance. I figure that's a good form of exercise.
It is, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah.
Whenever you were growing up, what were your favorite books or movies or movie stars?
Okay, well, my favorite, we used to watch Gilligan's Island, okay, who had Ginger in it. And I always wanted to be an actress. So when we moved to Rockville from Bethesda, I told my next door neighbors that my name was Ginger. And my mom came in and said, why did you tell her your name was Ginger? I'm like, because I'm a movie star, like Ginger on Gilligan's Island. She, no, you're not. You're Diana. So that was one of my, you know, fun stories to tell. I liked, gosh, I watched a bunch of, you asked me about TV shows. Now, see, now I'm forgetting the question.
Movies, TV shows,
music. Books. I can tell you the books. That I listen to a lot of records too. I'm thinking of Puff the Magic Dragon. I had the little 45 of Puff, but The Little Engine That Could was my favorite book. And it's funny how when we have kids, we're like, oh gosh, we got to recreate that. So I found A Little Engine That Could and read it to my kids, but they like the Dr. Seuss books, Go Dog Go, and some of those when they were little. Movies, we watched, you know, again, we would have to go see sometimes a opera movie that my dad, like The Magic Flute, my dad would try to encourage us to go see these things, and I remember that was awful and horribly boring. So that was not my kind of movie, but we watched a lot of the spy guy, what was his name? James Bond.
Oh, yeah.
Live and Let Die. We do a lot of drive-in movies, which I'm kind of sad we don't have those anymore. We watched a lot of TV, Flintstones, I Dream of Jeannie, you know. I say we watched a lot of TV when we came home. Afternoon sitcoms, and you know, always the Disney cartoons. I've kind of got all the little collection of the Disney classics, Fantasia and Dumbo and all those types of movies, because we just kind of kept it kind of clean, I guess, you know, when we were growing up. Always try to see the blockbuster. I used to love horror movies, you know, slash 'em up movies, but I can't watch them anymore. I can't even watch that movie Split that's out because I'm like, I'll have nightmares. I know just don't go there. Yeah. So I don't, you know. So.
Who were your childhood heroes? I know you talked about a couple of teachers. Were they?
Yeah, my childhood heroes. Well, I was like John Kennedy. I was very young when he was around, but I liked what he said. I liked the way he presented himself, and of course he was very nice looking. And I think what Martin Luther King was doing was incredible. I got to see him before he was like a week before he was assassinated at the National Cathedral, and I remembered parts of his speech, and I thought it was so wrong because he was talking about kids running around the snowy streets with no shoes on, and I thought, what is wrong with it? How can that even happen? You know, and so he and what he did, and Rosa Parks really along with several of those African Americans from the civil rights movement that really made a difference, were heroes. And then again, this was way before my time, but I watched the movie Suffragette and said, oh my gosh, what that woman did at the end. They list all the places where women have, like when they acquired the ability to vote, and some of them still don't have the ability, and it's like, oh gosh, that's horrible. But they were true pioneers. So a lot of people who did firsts of things, John Glenn, you know, I mean, we all sat around the TV, you know, watching and waiting for him to take off in this rocket, you know. And so I think a lot of people who did firsts were probably, you know, people who I admired and had heroes. And of course, anybody who was a movie star, I thought, oh, maybe I could be a, you know, what was the Marilyn Monroe, or, you know, because she was a bigger girl. I was always tall and always kind of head and shoulders above everybody. But anybody who had kind of made it, I looked up to. But a lot of the daring things, or things that are really going to make a difference in our world.
It matches what your parents tried to instill in you.
I think it really does. It's like, hopefully we're just carrying on his and their legacy. You know, thankfully my mom's still alive, so we get to talk and get feedback from her. But I think it is, and I think that purpose of my dad and mom taking us everywhere and exposing us to all these different things, because, you know, I thought everybody took a summer vacation. You know, we piled in we're just like vacation. We piled in the woody, it was contact paper that was, you know, wood on the side of the station wagon. And we hauled out to Indiana, Ohio, in the Midwest, where my family was. When we lived in Colorado, we went out to California on the train and drove all around there. When we lived in Colorado, we'd go travel all over. So I really think he tried to, and he and my mom both would try to expose us to different things. And now, because they believed in it, that's what we believe in. So, you know, we try to do that with our kids.
So what's the best place you've ever been then?
The best place.
I know it's hard to pin down one.
Oh man, it is hard to pin down, because I feel like I've been so many great places, but probably I would say Venice, because I don't know what it was about it. I was 16 when we went there, but it was so, I don't know that I was a big romantic, but it was so different. You know, there's no streets. So we got to ride in a gondola, and, you know, my dad had the guy sing to us, and of course we were all embarrassed, but it was a very special time. I remember a bridge outside, we were eating outside of a restaurant, and these kids just lined a bridge and just started singing, you know, like probably 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, and we just sat there and watched them and just thought, you know, and that's so cool. So some of the experiences that were there, and again, lots of history, lots of art, lots of stuff that we weren't used to seeing. You know, we wanted pizza, of course, like we were used to, but, you know, the food was excellent. The weather was always good when we were there. So I think the combination, that was one of the places we got to go, of all that, just made it a really special place. And so I'm hoping to take my family back there. So we need to go experience it.
Absolutely. I want to go.
Yeah, you come along.
What's your superpower?
Oh, my superpower. Well, it can be good and it can be bad.
Sure.
Okay. It's discernment. a lot of times I will know what someone is thinking or going to say before it happens. Now, it can be a good thing if they're saying or thinking something positive. If it's negative, it's a little scary because I almost have to, okay, what am I going to do? I'm trying to think about how am I going to answer that before it comes out? Which you shouldn't do because I shouldn't need to try to live in the moment, but it's good and bad, you know. And 9 times out of 10, it's good stuff. I'm able to help somebody, like, you know, maybe I saw something they felt bad about it, and I can sense they're feeling really rotten about, you know, being ugly to somebody. And, you know, I mean, I'll just say, yeah, you know, that was really ugly, but why don't you try to, you know, take something from that? I guess learning, I just, as I'm speaking, learning something from it, learning something new, gaining something from it, taking that and applying it, you know, which I don't know why I was so bad at math, because that sounds like it would really be a good math skill. So I would say that's my superpower.
Okay. What's your spirit animal?
My spirit animal is probably, I'd like it to be something really swift and fine, like a gazelle, but it's probably something more like a panda bear. You know, kind of lovey and fun and making people laugh and smile. It's an animal people want to be around. They're generally not afraid of them. When they see them, they're cute and cuddly. And I'm not you know, cute and little and cuddly, but that personality for sure. Fun loving and, you know, liking to be social and, you know, be in the mix.
I like it. What achievement are you most proud of?
What achievement am I most proud of? Probably graduating from UL, because I was I went through the DOORS program that they had at UL, which is like older adults. I started college when I was 27. I moved to Colorado because I was going to live there a year, get residency, and then go to Colorado State University where my dad worked. And I took one course there and I enjoyed it, but I started working. And I was like, who needs college? I'm having a great time working. I'm making plenty of money. So I did that. I started with a law firm, did a receptionist, and then went to legal secretary and then a paralegal. And it was great until I hit that ceiling and I'm like, can't grow anymore. And so I was working at a law firm here, and my office mate said, hey, I'm going to take some night courses at UL. You want to take them? And I was like, sure. And we took math. I took math 80, 90, and 105. But thought, this is great. You know, I really like college. And of course, I was always dressed for work, and a lot of the young kids there would, you know, tell us about this, or, you know, help us with this. And I was kind of their big sister. So it took me 6 years. I went 3 years part-time and 3 years full-time. So I actually graduated at 33. And it was I mean, I didn't think I could do it. Just because of math. I was afraid of math. Always, always afraid. My dad would say, sure you don't want to go to school? I'm like, no, you know, go to school. So it helped having my friend Phyllis in the class with me, because as long as we could take classes together, we did. And she could study the night before and get an A on the test the next day. I think she was her valedictorian of her class. And so that's probably for me, because I did it and I enjoyed it, you know, and didn't think I was capable of it. So.
And you did it while you had kids?
Actually, I did not have kids at that time, which was like, okay, you're 33.
Gotcha.
We had not yet started our family. We'd been married almost 10 years. It's like, we need to either have kids or something. So let me get a job and let me get situated. So we did that.
I like it.
And because I don't know how young people who have kids
I don't either.
do that, because I'm very segmented or sexualized in my life. I want to have kids. I want to try to do the kid thing and do my best as a mom and focus on that. When I'm in school, let me do my best at math or science, English, whatever I'm doing. So I kind of have these stages where I try to do the best thing, and I always say, thank goodness I didn't have kids at that time, because I felt like I could do a good job at Gumbo U, and I was married, helping my husband, and staying, working at the law firm still for the first 3 years. So, I don't know how they do it now.
I say it all the time. I don't know how. There are some strong, capable women out there that
there are some really strong, capable women, and not only that, they still. Well, everything's because it's so much more involved now. So if you're a mom, it's not like our moms. Well, not you're much younger than me. Not like our mom was, who stayed home, took care of the house and all. Now they're working, they're going to school, they're taking the kids, who are also involved in 5 activities, because we want our kids to experience. We want them to do the athletic and the arts thing and the academic thing, and I don't know how. And I have a lot of energy. People will say, "You're everywhere. How do you do that?" And it's just natural.
Yeah.
I just have a lot of energy. So but I can still say to them, how do you do it? Because everything's so much farther apart now, and you have 2 conflicts of time. Your husband's at work. How do you get your kids? Well, you got to rely on somebody else, and thankfully, we are women and mothers, and have a strong support system, and we can count on others, and even stay-at-home dads. They pitch in and do it, but that's so much less common.
Yeah, I always laugh when people say that dads are babysitting their kids. No, they have their kids.
They're not babysitting. They're working, and they're usually happy to see that wife come home from bunco.
Well, they're just as capable as
and they are just as capable. And I really feel they need that one-on-one time.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they need that different perspective, because, as I say, women are from Venus, men are from Mars. And it's good because you can pick up different parts of things, and you can learn how to deal with different situations by, this is how my brother handled that. Totally different from my sister, but having the option of, there's different ways to handle the situation. So,
that's true.
Yeah.
Let's see. 2 more questions.
Sure.
Actually 3, because I want to know. What inspires you?
What inspires me? Music really inspires me a lot. I almost always have some kind of music on. A lot of times it'll take me back. A lot of times it'll move me forward to like, oh, wow, a thought will come as I'm listening to music. I would also say, reading inspires me. I'll read something in the local paper and say, oh, man, that would be a good idea to, let's try that, or see how we can organize that. I was riding in the car. We were coming back from Dallas last night, and our driver, one of my friend's daughters, works for the city. And so I'm like, I don't understand how this and this and this works, and how does this fit together and all. And she did a great job of just, okay, this is this, perceptions, I'm like, why is the city of Lafayette, required to pay for drainage for, Scott or whatever? Well, they don't, but that's a misconception out there. So I think, seeing something that can get done, that'll come to light when I'm listening to music, or, and then other people. I mean, I can't watch some of those AT&T ads without crying, seeing what someone's done, or hearing about overcoming a lot. And of course, reading the Bible for me, getting answers, seeking answers, praying, pray a lot for a lot of people. People know they can come to me and say, and I'm glad I learned that from somebody else. My friends Elizabeth and Pam, I learned that from them, that when someone asks you to pray, you make sure you write it down, so that if you see them, they may not even know that, and it makes them feel better knowing that. So a lot comes during praying, as well. So that gives me ideas and inspires me. So,
how would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered as somebody who helped other people, probably. I'm kind of an attention hound sometimes. So I like to get the attention for things, or I do like to get credit for things. I don't necessarily have to have, Well, like if I had an idea, I like to share that with people that, hey, I thought about doing that 20 years ago or whatever, but not in a I don't know, public way or like I want my friends and family to acknowledge it probably more than anything. I don't need to be on, Channel 3, but just having them know that, okay, this is what I did. So probably helping people, a strong person of faith, a good mom and good wife, a good community person. I think that we really have to step up and take care of what's going on here, our schools, our roads, our city, our just kind of everything that happens, our arts, our culture. We just have to take care, and we all have to pitch in no matter where we are, because everybody can do something, everybody can do something.
Very cool. Last question.
Okay.
Describe yourself in 3 words. Everybody makes that face.
I know. Okay, 3 words.
That's partly why I do it.
Yeah, good question. You came up with some really good questions. Okay, faith-filled, fun-loving, and music. Oh no, that's more than. Okay, 3 words. Okay.
You can use hyphens.
I can use hyphens. Okay,
Absolutely.
good. I'm like, yeah. Okay, so fun-loving and I don't know, I'm musical myself, but how would I say that I love music. And I'm always moving, dancing. So let me think. I can't think of one word that's going to have it. I love dancing, and you have to have music to dance. So
There you go.
I'd probably say dancer.
There you go.
Dancer.
And adventurous.
Yes, and adventure.
Throw it for you.
Yeah, I used to thrill seek. I've bungee jumped down in a parking lot in the Strip off of a crane. That was that long time ago. This was all before kids. And I skydived, tandem skydived. And those were probably my 2 biggest daring things. Rode in a sailplane. But now that I'm older and have kids, you think about doing stuff like that. You're like, should something happen, my family's going to suffer. Family, that's probably a big thing. Family and faith, now that it's coming to me. Family, faith, and music.
There you go.
There's
Family,
your 3
faith,
words.
and music.
Family, faith, and music.
I like it.
So, yeah, but I don't thrill seek as much as I do. Sometimes I still do, but not on that level.
Sure.
Very cool.
Well, awesome. Thank you for your time. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
This was
you
very
did a good
good.
job
You
too.
did.
Very